Video is spiritual realms. Okay, and the first thing you want to know about spiritual realms is number one is spiritual laws are in place to separate the physical from the spiritual. Okay, this is the internal laws, the laws of the internals. Like, this is what you hear is your internal voice, right? Your internal voice is connected to spiritual laws. Okay, but it will manifest physically. And this is through the external communication. And one of the laws, the spiritual laws, is not bound to flesh and blood. Okay, what does that mean? To step outside of the physical body from the avatar and go back into spirit, your spiritual body, your original form. Okay, because your original form is not the physical. The physical dies and decomposes and goes back to skull and bones. Okay, that's just the truth. Number two, demons and angels are going to come up against. So you're going to come up against demons and angels, okay? That's just the truth. You're going to come up against demons and angels. You're going to see a lot more demons than you will see the angels, okay? The angels really don't give themselves away unless you can identify with them, which will be disguised as humanish. So angels will step outside of the flesh and blood, and then they'll also step into the flesh and blood of a character, allowing you to get the same concept to what happened with Judas, okay? When he was shitting with the 12 disciples when they were at the Last Supper, okay? The Last Supper, Judas betrayed Christ, okay? That's why they called it the Last Supper, because it was the Last Supper before the crucifixion, okay? So the Last Supper happened, and he allowed a demon in the vessel to speak through Judas to deliver. The demon delivered a message to Christ, basically, that he would betray him for the money. And same thing happens today. They betray their own. They betray their own kids. They betray their own dads, their mothers, for money. Man, they'll sell them out. They'll kill them. They'll sacrifice them. I mean, these people will do anything for this money at the risk of their soul. They don't even think about their soul. They just think about, I just need money. I need to have fun now. I need the girls. I need everything that the life brings. And then you realize it wasn't worth it in the end. Because you get old and nobody wants you anymore. Once you hit a certain age, nobody wants you no more. You're washed out material. It's like a phone that's old. You know, you don't want a flip phone. Nobody wants the flip phone anymore. Everybody wants the fancy gadget iPhones, okay, or the Samsungs, Galaxies. Number three, and you got to understand this one, that the physical realm is separated from the spiritual realm, because what occurs in the spiritual realm is spiritual technology. And weapons. Now, you can find this, I think, in Jeremiah, that the spiritual weapons is God's. He created all spiritual weapons, including the new. Okay? So, just because you think that the fallen angels control the technology, they have a little bit of control over it. They don't have full access to it. It's God's. That's why if you're under the light, principalities and powers, your algorithm will be most likely light with a little bit of witchcraft in it. Demonic, or a little bit of demonic behavior will be in it, because that's what they designed the AI to be. The AI is designed to be demonic. Why? Because it's like consciousness. Okay, it's aware of itself. It's almost to that point. When you get so smart, you could become aware of yourself. So it's almost like the computer's aware. Okay, so number 3 is spiritual technology and weapons. One of the spiritual technologies that's down here is a cell phone. Okay, another one would be a television. Those are spiritual devices. Even though you see a physical property to it, it still came from the spiritual. Okay, it came from the lens of the eye, which gave you a television. Okay. The cell phone came from telepathy. Okay. The ability to transfer information without actually having a line attached to it. This is considered the cell towers. Okay? It sends vibrational frequency and waves off, and then bounces off that tower to the tower, wherever it's going, to get the signal to the location that you need it to go to. And it does it simultaneously, without error. Or little to none error. Little to no error. There is error, but it's little to no error. Number 4, what you want to know about spiritual realm is that, and I forgot to mention on number 2 that demons and angels, that the gremlins exist. Okay, the super gremlins, they exist in the spiritual realm. If you want to see a photograph, like and subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the chat that you want to see a photo of a super gremlin, and I'll send it to you. Number 4, what you're going to do in the spirit realm. Is you're going to entertain, okay? Entertaining angels and demons, okay? You can entertain man if you want to, but it says don't look to man, woman, and child to tell you anything intelligent, because they're still in correction of intelligence. So as long as they're in correction, they don't hold all knowledge, and that's why you got to look to God. God holds all knowledge. Anyone that claims that they're a God must have all knowledge. Even a fallen entity must have all knowledge. And be aware of how time is connected to everything. From the highest point to the lowest point. We're inside a time wheel. Okay? This is the universal time wheel. It looks like a clock. Okay? It ticks differently, though. You have the forever the forever property, right? The property of immortality. But the only way you could get stripped of that is when you go jump back on these missions. You could get in trouble on the mission. You could disobey the commander, the chief, the creator. And it starts by disobeying the order of command, the highest command, which is, it goes to Father, Son, which is Christ. Then it used to be Leviathan. Leviathan was number 3. Okay, it was third in command. before he kicked a third of the angels out with his tail in the physical realms. Okay? He kicked them out and sent them to a physical realm. And bound them here, spiritual entities bound to a physical realm. Not to a spiritual realm, which was in the heavens at the highest point. Those are considered spiritual realms only, because the advancement of the technology and weapons was so advanced that it couldn't be physical anymore. They had what you're going to understand about number 5 is superpowers. It's a power, but it's a superpower. When yielded properly, it could be a superpower. Because it's the first step to not bound in flesh and blood. So, it's the first step to almost getting to the not bound in flesh and blood. And it allows you to basically be super and heightened and aware through the power of stepping into the spirit realm. Another thing you're going to need is to change the image from physical to spiritual. So the eye will change. Even though it appears to look the same, it has a different property now that it's using to see into the spirit realm. So the eyes will change entering the realms, okay? Also, they have vehicles inside the spirit realm. Now, I'm not going to drive them where they have spiritual vehicles, man. I'm dead serious, buddy. I'm dead serious. They have different technology, man. And there's also reptilians and stuff inside that realm. Okay? This is why they were depicted in Ethiopia as the only way you can see them is in the spirit realm. They disguise themselves as humans. Okay? That's why they're considered demons. Now you have the angel versions, but those are the angelical, and they're in the heavens. And you also have the dark principalities and powers of the heavens as well. That still flies around up there. There's also an active team up there of evil people, of evil creatures. Now, when we say spiritual laws, what we're talking about is UI, universal intelligence or universal law. So let me just add that in there. Universal law is that we don't have all the universal laws yet. We are just in the basics to what universal laws are. Okay? We don't even have the law of gravity yet. Now, we do, but we don't have access to it anymore. We've been stripped of it. Why? Because we're in the time of Satan's millennium. He doesn't give us access to the law of gravity during that time because you're under dark principalities and powers. You're under demons. Okay? You're under demons when you're under Satan's millennium. the worship of demons. Because if we were under God, we would be worshiping, not the angels, but we would be worshiping well, some people may worship the angels because Allah is worshipped. Allah is considered an angel, a top-ranking angel. But he's not considered the king of all kings, the lord of all lords. And he's not considered to be the most high God, Elohim. He's considered to be one of the 5 spirits. One of the 5 head honchos up in heaven. But he's not number 1. He's not the most high God. Number 7. Not bound to physical properties, which is still not bound to flesh and blood, so we're not going to add that. Actually, we're just going to add that. Not bound to flesh and blood, we'll just state that. Because I think that's important, I write that down. And we're going to make it a lot more simple so you can understand it. Not bound to physical properties, okay? That's how we're going to simplify this and rationalize the not bound to flesh and blood by stating it's not bound to physical properties. So anything that's physical, it has the ability to manipulate the property. Okay? So if there's a wall, it can go through the wall. It doesn't. If there's a wall, it can stay here. It can go into the wall and stay in the wall like this, with still seeing the spiritual being on the wall. It'll manifest itself. It'll just imprint itself like a picture, like a painting. And it'll just sit there. You just still move and everything. And still have active movement and all that. It's just not bound to the physical property of the wall. Or anything that's physical. Number 8, what you're going to understand about the spiritual realm is energy. Spiritual energy. Everything that is occurring in the spirit realm is spiritual energy. And this is where you're going to get your powers. Okay, this is where you're going to manifest your powers from. You're going to manifest it from the spirit, your energy, and you're going to step into the spiritual realm. Depending on how you get into the spirit realm, if you do it through the fasting, then that's the way of the kingdom of light. If you do it through the drugs, it's the way through the kingdom of darkness. Okay, the difference between the two. Drugs will get you into the spirit realm, but it will be the spirit realm of darkness. Now the angels can still meet you there. You just won't. You wouldn't have been called by. You can only step into that realm if God has called you into the realm. I'd like to say drugs will enter the dark realms, okay? This is where all of the wickedness is happening, within inside of the drugs, okay? Everybody who has familiarity with it, familiarity with drugs, will enter the dark realms of the spirit, okay? This is where the worshiping of the creature began. This is where the worshiping of the creature. Okay, and that's another thing you want to understand about the spiritual realm is most people are worshiping the creature when you enter the spirit realm. Not the creator. That's why they deny it. What are the creatures? The fallen angels. Sorry to say it, they're creatures. Why? Because God bound them to the earth and then turned them into creatures based on the earth. Worshipping creatures. Monsters. Okay? He changed their property of beauty and turned it into hideousness. One of the punishments. He changed their look to go along with the identity of darkness. He had to change their identity from light to darkness. So the identity of the characters had changed as they fell. They fell and they were hideous now. They were shattering mirrors. The Flashlight Crew. You ever heard of them? That's another thing you'll encounter if you ever went into the spirit realm. The Flashlight Crew. The whole entire town turns into a flashlight crew. All of a sudden they're flashing high beams and stuff like this. He's in, boys. He knows about us. That's what they start doing. They live characters start going crazy. So number 11 is they live is going crazy. This is all the offsprings. Yeah. They're going to go and attack you. This is who you're going to get spiritually attacked from. Alright, it's just the truth. Right here, they live spiritual attacks. You'll be spiritually attacked by they live, which is the offsprings of the fallen angels. I'm not playing with you, dude. They really exist on the earth. I've already photographed this stuff, and I've even recorded videos that were live and recorded. 2 entities being captured down here that weren't bound to flesh and blood, that were sleeping with the women. Okay? It's just the truth. The women would deny it, but the proof of the pudding is in the evidence that I provided. And that's why I'm standing on my 2 feet. And I ain't bowing a knee. Okay? I ain't budging off my channel. You'd have to deny all the evidence. I'd have to deny my own evidence, and I would have to deny my own story as I didn't live it to see it play out. Okay? I basically had a moment of Christ. Okay? Where I experienced the Christ moment. I'm probably one of the only people on the earth to experience it. From the perspective of beating it when it attacked. Because, oh yeah, that's right. Number 12, spiritual parasites. We're going to jump straight into number 12. When you go into the spirit realm, it's possible you may be attacked by spiritual parasites. Oh, I said spiritual parables. I don't. My parents. All right, spiritual parasites, which are not bound to flesh and blood properties, but will take over the physical body. Okay? And I beat 2 of them. I beat the reptilians and I beat the bush creatures, parasite. The spiritual parasite. There was 2 different ones. Okay? But when I took the reptilian parasite, I developed a gift. It's called the clicker. I call it the clicker because it clicks inside of my ear. Now, since I've taken that parasite, And then the other parasite I took was the bush creatures. This is when I entered the spirit realm. I'm dead serious, buddy. I'm not even playing. These are ancient heavenly parasites that came along with these characters because they're not humans. So, of course, that's why God has separated us between us, the two, because we're considered organisms. They're considered parasites when they went into a fallen state. Okay, and they would come with these parasites. That's what the witches, wizards, and warlocks, they throw parasites on you. Dead serious, spiritual parasites you can't see. It's like casting magic or spells or rituals at somebody, but you're casting a parasite instead, a spiritual parasite. And number 13, we're going to put as when you enter the spirit realm, you must be brave. Okay, you have to have a brave heart. Because if you get scared or you get timid, that's why he doesn't allow everybody in there. You'll get devoured. I'm telling you right now. It's only for the brave. The brave of heart. And forgiveness is number 14. You're going to need to forgive. And the only way that works is through love. Okay, so you're going to have to love that you're going to get attacked with inside that spiritual realm. Okay? And when you get attacked, you're going to have to forgive them. Because they do what they don't know what they're doing. Okay? They do what they hate to do. Which is be malevolent in spirit, okay? They're malevolent entities all over the earth. And that's just the truth to it, okay? Without the brave, so let's run this one more time through. Spiritual realms. First one is spiritual law, universal laws. Number 2, demons and angels, aka some may call the demons aliens. Or extraterrestrials. They're creatures. Okay? Not bound to flesh and blood. Number 3, spiritual technology and weapons. Okay? This could be like the nuke. The nuke is not physical because it's an incendiary weapon. It's spiritual. Okay? It's a spiritual weapon, but it's a basic spiritual weapon. It's a basic spiritual weapon of an external explosion rather than an internal explosion, which is internal imploding. Which is imploding compared to exploding. Okay, number 4, entertaining angels and demons. Okay, you can entertain the angels and demons, including the King of Angels, the Lord of all Lords. Number 5, superpower. It's a superpower when you step into the realm because you get super heightened sensitivity towards the power. Okay, which number 6 brings us to the eyes will change entering the realms. This must be with the pineal gland that will drip into the third eye, allowing your eyes to open up in diameter. This is called pupil dilation. Okay, pupil dilation will allow you into the spirit realm. When it's small, you're not in the spirit realm. When it's wide, you're in the spirit realm. Okay, when its pupils have widened. That's why you have to dilate it. So you have to do something. That's how when you do drugs, it dilates and allows you into the spirit realm. This is how I know. I've studied it. Number 7, not bound to flesh, not bound to physical properties, which is not bound to flesh and blood. So you're not bound to any physical property or material. Number 8, spiritual energy. You're spending spiritual energy within time. Okay. Number 9, drugs will enter dark realms. Okay, drugs automatically enter you into the dark realm, which is the evil fallen angel realm. Okay? And this is where they'll worship the fallen angels, or this is why I put number 10 as worshiping creatures, which was the fallen angels. And then number 11, they live spiritual attacks, which is from the children of the offsprings of the fallen angels. They'll attack you because they're scared. Number 12, spiritual parasites. They'll come with their spiritual parasites. They'll attack you and try to put you in submission and have you tap out. Number 13, brave heart. Okay, you got to have a brave heart when you enter the spirit realm. You don't want to be weak. Number 14, forgiveness. This is why Christ went into the spirit realm, but not many people would go in after him. Okay, because they would be scared. They wouldn't want to face the truth of what may occur out of it. So that's why many people do not go into the spirit realm, because they're scared, not having a brave heart. Because if they did, they would have done what Christ did and followed suit after Christ. Forgiveness. Number 14, you have to forgive the characters in the realm that are going to hurt you. Okay, they're going to hurt you no matter what. They're going to portray that they're better than you, and yet they're the same as you. Okay, they were just born at a different time, a different but it just depends on how you're raised. Okay, being raised in the proper manner of light matters. Okay, it gives you a better start. That's all it does. It gives you a better start, but it's still up to the individual player's choice to make the final choice, light or darkness. Okay, so it's an individual choice. No one's going to pick the choice for you. You can stand on your darkness all you want, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to choose light eventually. If not, get destroyed. Okay, as simple as that. Get destroyed. Just like the sun will destroy darkness every day. It'll destroy it every day. As long as that sun continues to rise, it will destroy darkness. And it'll always diminish the darkness. The light will always diminish the darkness. And you'll never see darkness while light is in the sky. Okay? But as soon as it appears darkness, the lesser light goes up. And the lesser light's still up, even if it's not in appearance to seeing it, because of the sunlight. Okay, and the reflection of the firmament light. That's why you see blue sky. Blue sky is the firmament light. He called it the sky, the blue sky. Okay, which is the light refracting off of the actual firmament, which is invisible. Okay, it's called a firmament light. Okay, that's what you need to know about the firmament light, the sky, the blue sky. Yes, sure, that's why it is blue. And at night, it is reflecting stars, okay, and the moonlight. The moonlight stands for the lesser light, the transformational hour. That's what this is, transformational hour, which is the law of Morpheus hour, when it shall be seen, but as through dark shadows, dark entities that will roam the earth. When you enter the spirit realm, okay, you can enter the spirit realm, and then at night you'll be attacked. And if you're doing drugs and alcohol, you'll have an attachment for up to 7 days until you quit for 7 days and clean your house up and put it back in order. On the 7th day, you shall rest. Okay? Thank you.